been your worst commuting story? I know you've got some good ones. Can you share one with us?
Oh man, I have a whole book of that. I'm gonna probably write.
Oh, let me know when you do. I'll buy a copy.
Pretty good.
Uh,
Probably be a
well,
bestseller.
no. You know, before I tell a story, I like to preface it with, what we talked about earlier. Like, it really helps and goes a long way when you are courteous and you present yourself to the flight crew in a nice manner, because you are asking for a free ride to get to work, or even more important, to get to home. So it does definitely help along the way to just be that one nice guy and just say, hey, may I have may I have a seat in the back or in the cockpit? So that will take care of a lot of those issues with the difficult commuting. But there is every now and then just the one issue that you may have, and or awkward. I think I like to just tell you the one that I had most recent. I was commuting up to Boston, and just a happy guy going to work, right? Not so much, but I'm sitting in a jump seat on a Airbus, and the flight crew just you can tell the dynamics were not good at all. Just the two, the captain and the first officer, just did not get along. It just made for a very awkward 2 hours and a half flight. Pretty much sat the whole time. They never talked to each other at all, besides just doing the required chatting about the checklist. And so you're sitting there, you're like this third person, kind of watching it from the back, and you're like, this is just awkward.
It's like a divorce attorney.
Yeah, and you're just sitting there, you're like, do I say something? Do I kind of throw a little opener line? But you just felt that it was something must have gone not right along the way there, that they just kind of decided that they were just going to do their bare minimums of talking to each other. Mm-hmm. And I just kind of sat there and just watched it. And I mean, they were fine. There was nothing unsafe or anything. It's just they just chose not to talk to each other the whole way, and just be that typical, like, I'm watching my instruments and that's it.
Yeah, and that leads me to my next question: is how do you deal with conflicting personalities on the flight deck when you find yourself in the middle of that?
Yeah, so and that comes up a lot because we're all, like, I think Rob said earlier, we're human. We just have different personalities, and we almost have to find a common ground amongst each other, just to kind of get. Sometimes it's super easy. Like, the guy comes in and you just feel that energy, and you know it's going to be a good trip. Sometimes you're gonna have to dig in a little deeper and try to find some commonality, something that maybe you guys enjoy doing, or that you watch something that maybe was fun, just to kind of open up the lines of communication, and just because I think that's important. If you can talk to a person, I mean, you're spending 3-4 days, maybe 5 days with this person. Why not make it a pleasant experience and just have fun, have an enjoyable time? You're gone from your family. This is the closest person that's going to be to you for the next, however many days.
Yeah.
So open up the lines of communication and try to find some commonality between you two. And just, I've always tried that as a person, just to find whatever we can find that we both like, and just talk about that. And then that most of the times will open up another plethora of things to talk about. So
yeah,
not to be unsafe, obviously you want to stay safe in the cockpit, but it would definitely make the time go by a lot faster and just more enjoyable.
Yeah, I have a recent story. You just triggered my memory from a recent trip, if I may. I just had a trip, and one of the overnights was like a 32-hour overnight in Miami, which is great, but it can be about 10 hours too long if run out of things to do. But anyway, I was flying a 4-day trip with this captain, and when I first met him, he came across very, very socially awkward. I mean, he was just one of those people that had a goofiness to his demeanor, and he was just just hard to, figure out that, what kind of a trip this is going to be, or what kind of conversations you're going to have in the cockpit. And then I noticed attached to his rollerboard was like this U-Haul of bags on top of his rollerboard. So he was carrying like the roof rack of bags on top of his bag.
He was a bag
rollerboard.
lady?
He was a bag lady. He had like 5 bags, and I'm like, wow, this is crazy. So anyway, we get in the cockpit, and we're going through our pre-flight, and he breaks out like 3 or 4 of these laminated self-made briefing sheets and just self-planned things that he made for his job, and he hands this over to me, and I look at it, I'm like, what's this thing all about? And he goes, just in case you're wondering, these are some of the hot topics of the 737, and this kind of gives you some of our threat forwards idea thing and things that we're going to cover during our briefing. And I'm like, okay, cool. I just handed it right back to him. So, and so this is also, he's a mask wearer. So he had his KN95 mask on, glasses, and he had Band-Aids all around the upper edge of his mask, going all up his forehead. And the only thing I could assume that was for is just to prevent, the fogging of glasses and stuff like that he wore. Now, so I'm saying all this just to kind of set it up, because I really was thrown back at this whole, initial thing. And I'm like, man, what is this guy going to even have anything to talk about that's, that's going to be cool? And for the first hour into the flight, and this was the other thing, was that our flights were really short. So like the last podcast we had was with Christy. I was in Austin, so we just did Dallas to Austin. So I was literally in the cockpit for 45 minutes, and then
wow,
we got to the hotel, and it was like, phew. So anyway, fast forward, we get to we're on our way to Miami, and finally, I finally broke into his conversation thing. I'm like, hey man, what are you carrying in all that stuff in your bags? I noticed. And he's like, well, you're gonna laugh at me, but I'm carrying hard copies of the Encyclopedia Britannica.
Huh.
Is he like a Jeopardy fan or something? Why hard copy?
I said, why would you do that?
It fits in his EFB. He could do that. Download it.
So here's what his answer was. He is memorizing the Encyclopedia Britannica. And then I was like, you're crazy, dude. Why in the world would you want to be doing this? But this set off a whole 3 days worth of conversations, because I'm like, why would you want to memorize the Encyclopedia Britannica? And in a nutshell, what it came out to be was he went to a show in Las Vegas about 15 years ago, and the show was this comedian who was a memory specialist, and he was able to memorize things in ways that no other human, or only a few humans have been able to do.
And was it called endemic memory or something like that?
I don't remember the name of the comedian or the show, but basically what he basically was, he was captivated by this comedian, and his whole next 15, 20 years of his life was trying to rededicate his learning and his memory ability to reformatting his memory so that he could do this.
Mm-hmm.
And believe it or not, he's doing pretty damn good, man, because he said, okay, I've only got up to page, I don't know how many pages are in the Encyclopedia Britannica, but let's just say it's like 2,000 pages, maybe even more. But I'm like, he's like, okay, just pick a page. I'm only up to like page 500. So, go ahead and pick something. And I was like, all right, page 398. And he goes, sits there, he thinks for about 15 seconds, and he hands me the book. I opened it to page 398, and he starts reciting things that are on page 398. And I'm like, oh my God, that's incredible. I mean, he didn't tell us word for word thing, but he was able to, name off the major topics that were on that page, some of the dates, if there were dates associated, and a couple names and stuff that are on that page. And I was just like, wow, that's pretty amazing.
That's impressive. It only took 15 years to do it, huh?
Yeah, but it circled all the way around back to, how socially weird, different people are.
Yeah.
So
we're human.
It was certainly a weird one for me, Anyway, there's a good podcast story for you.
I love it. Yeah.
Encyclopedia Britannica.
And it's funny because I've always wished that I had a better memory, and to be able to remember everything. I think, I often say it, that if I could just remove all the movie lines, music, lyrics, and dumb jokes out of my head and replace it with tangible information that I could readily access word for word, I'd be a freaking leader of a country.
Yep.